Hello everybody, how are you? Hope you can hear me okay, and if you can then just say hi in the comments box. I'd love to know who's here. Carter has already dropped a little message in the comments box. Hi Carter, looking forward to chatting to you too, my friend. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's enjoying their day and having a nice day, even if you're all locked up. Hello Mazama, how are you? And just chilling out and having just a nice time, using your lockdown well. If you're not locked down and you're just going about your daily business, then I hope you're having a wonderful day or about to have a wonderful day. Hello. Hippopotamus. I see your name pop up all the time, but I'm usually in full swing, so it's difficult to... Hi Christos, hi Jane, how's it going? Hope everybody is well. Good evening Debbie, how are you? We're going to talk a little bit, we're going to put across your colour questions that you may have this evening, any cutting issues that you may have. You might get a hole in a barb, or... Hi Angela. You might get, uneven layers and those kind of issues that we all face. You might have haircuts that you're not necessarily very happy about cutting. Hopefully we can give you some constructive feedback on those. So while we get on with this episode as well, or just before we start really, before anyone rolls their questions in, we will talk a little bit about last week. Obviously, I invited my friend Paul on. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Felicia. And I've invited my friend Paul Watts onto the channel last week, and we talked about doing some live hair cutting and colouring stuff for you guys. So we're probably going to organise that for next week now. We asked everybody to vote at the end of last week's episode, and I think overwhelmingly people have chosen commercial over creative, so definitely probably going to go with a commercial look, or a commercial look that's nice and easy to use. Good stuff Debbie, yeah, all good this end, just using my lockdown as wisely as humanly possible. Hi Pia, hi Sanj, I've actually spent most of my day today recording podcast episodes. I've started a new podcast called The Indie Hairstylist. It's now on Spotify and iTunes. So if you search The Indie Hairstylist, there is one episode up there already, which is an episode between myself and a couple of good friends of mine, where we talk on an app called Clubhouse on a Sunday afternoon generally, but sometimes it's Monday, sometimes it's Tuesday. Trying to get us all together is difficult sometimes, and we talk about hair education. So we're all kind of professional educators. We all do education to pay the bills to some degree. Chris is pretty much full-time educator and has been for the last 25 years. He does some work behind the chair. His name's Chris Moody. His brother is Stefan Moody, for anybody that knows him. He was the International Art Director for Sassoon, Education Director for Sassoon, and now the Global Education Director for Weller. So a very highly esteemed Moody hairdressing dynasty. And then I also talk with a wonderful woman called Heather Robertson, who is from Glasgow in Scotland, and she has a wonderful Facebook group, actually, everybody, that I think you guys should probably go and check out. It's all about commercial up hair and styling hair, and she does lives on Tuesday nights at 7 PM, I think, something like that. But if you go on her Facebook page and search her out, you'll soon find her nice and easily. Lots of people coming through now. Mesh, hi, how's it going? Who we got? Shelby, Jane, good evening everybody. Jane's listened to it, it's fab. Thank you very much, Jane, much appreciated. So the episodes will be a mixture of the hairdressing education podcast side of things, and it will be a mixture of people's life stories, just everyday hairdressers, working behind the chair and, you know, wanting to up their game and improve their lives, and have taken themselves from, you know, apprenticed. And I set the bar at, I'm going to call it the 40k hairstylist series. And I set the bar at 40k because I just felt like it was a sum that was a good thing to aim at for others, and a good level of living is achieved by hitting that mark. Unless you want to drive super flash cars and stuff, then you know, you'll have to go above and beyond that. But I thought it was a good leveler, and here's my real kind of point to it all, I guess, that the reality is that obviously this industry unfortunately isn't necessarily seen in the same light as a dentist or a plumber or a builder. You know, people tend to say, you know, ridiculous statements like just a hairdresser. I've heard that 1,000 times. What do you do? Oh, I'm a hairdresser. Oh, you're just a hairdresser. You know, really casual, but a bit passive in terms of negativity. And, you know, also, you know, you hear people refer to hairdressers as, you know, just hairdressers all the time. Or they're just a hairdresser. You know, it's as if it's some banal career that nobody wants to do, and actually that people only do if they didn't do very well at school. And then people that go into hairdressing or want to go into hairdressing are quite often put off by their parents, because unfortunately lots of people's perceptions are that you can't earn a lot of money, and actually I appreciate that sometimes is confounded by some scenario, some situation people find themselves in. So I wanted to create a podcast that was reaching out to the everyday hairdresser, that was giving young people the opportunity to prove to their parents that you could earn a decent living as a hairdresser, and that there was many people who were and are and always will be. And I appreciate that not everybody's hit that mark, and not everybody's kind of at that point in their career, or will. You know, I've had a lot of people come back to me and say, you know, they've worked very hard and they've got nowhere near that point. And I think, you know, that is, there's many factors to that. I don't really have a massive opinion on that specifically, but I just think there's lots of factors to why somebody may not have reached that specific target. And not that I suggest anybody needs to get to that point. I think it's more for me that if you were an office manager, I googled it, I looked for jobs that people wouldn't poo-poo, wouldn't kind of automatically put down. An office manager was one of those jobs where I thought, if you said to somebody you're an office manager, more than likely everyone, you know, people wouldn't necessarily, you know, think it was the best job in the world or very interesting, but no one would say just an office manager, really. You know, it's one of those jobs. Oh, what do you do? I'm an office manager. Oh, right. You know, that's how the conversation goes. And I think for me, it was about finding a job that then paid a certain amount of money, and kind of saying, well, this is where we're at. There's lots of people hitting this mark. Not every office has got multiple office managers in it. You know, it's got people at management level, people at executive level, but there's lots more people underneath that bar. So I thought for me, really, it was about creating that idea that you know, that is perfectly achievable, and everybody should kind of aim towards that as a goal. And so that's where the Indie Stylist podcast was born from, really. And the education episodes are just a happy byproduct of me being wanting to create more prosperity out of the clubhouse meetings that we have on a Sunday. So there's a few things coming through here. Just say hello to everybody. Sarah, hi from India. Hi Sarah, thanks for joining us again. I was blanked once in a conversation as if I didn't matter. Yes, Jane, I can concur with that. I went to a wedding once, and the groom was a banker, and most of the guests were his work colleagues, and you know, the groom was a reasonably nice chap for sure, and I was stood around with the groom and lots of his friends, and it's sort of, I was the odd one out. They all knew each other, and they sort of turned to me and said, "Oh, you know, Jen, we're chatting away, and it's all good, and blah blah, you know." And then it came round to, "Oh, and what job do you do then, James?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a hairdresser." And it was as if tumbleweed had just blown through the building, and it was And I always felt to myself at that point in time, I thought, I was done at that point, you know. I thought, right, I just want to go home now. I've had enough. I don't want to be with these people anymore. I just want to go. So yeah, it is, unfortunately, it is like that. And you know, I think the only way that we can actually change that is if people are willing to talk about their careers as hairdressers and, you know, how much money they earn. Because I know people who are trying to promote the industry in a positive light, and I know people who are running, you know, companies that are trying to emphasise what a wonderful industry hairdressing is, and but they're always doing it from the same angle. Everybody comes at it from the same angle. They always come at it from, well, it's a great trade. You can take it anywhere. You know, you can work in Australia or Southeast Asia, and you can cut people's hair. You know, and you can go travelling, and it's flexible around having children, and, you know, they always come at it from the sort of, you know, nicey standpoint. They never really ever come at it from, and you can earn a really good living. In fact, you can, it's limitless. You know, one of my good friends was a hairdresser. He went through, you know, won various awards. I mean, took it all the way through. In fact, he didn't even do the basic qualifications, and he now has a company that turns over multi-million pounds in revenue from product sales. So, you know, it's just limitless. He went through the hairdressing industry to multi-millionaire. So, you know, I don't know many industries where that is a possibility. You know, there are industries, especially trade-orientated industries, that is a possibility. But there's not that many, you know. And if you go down the kind of traditional academic routes, you tend to work for a company for the rest of your life. So that's my rant over. Thank you for listening, and we'll get on with some questions. Hi Jamie, how's it going? Let's have a little look. Sorry I'm late. Tina, never be sorry, my friend. That is absolutely fine. John Carter, people should not think hairdressers are dim. I have studied at a degree level. I do not make you any better than anyone else. No, that's absolutely true, John. Sorry, Carter. Your name's Carter, John. That's absolutely true. I mean, you know, you can do a degree in hairdressing if you so wish. But I don't think, you know, at the end of the day, when we're talking about, you know, paying the bills and making a living, you know, just because you've got a degree doesn't mean that that's you know, that's what's going to happen with it. You know, you may not even use that degree at the end of the day. Let's see what's come through here. Angela says, how best to colour the shag with having lots of layers? Good question, Angela. So are we talking about kind of creating, what sort of look are we looking for, Angela? Are we looking for a full head or an ombre type of look? What kind of thing are you looking for? And then we can give you a bit more information. Sarah says, I think we should not care about what others say about you. It's about what you think about yourself. Yes, that's very true, Sarah. I fully agree with that. My issue is that young people are put off our industry because of the prejudice that being a hairdresser seems to carry. And prejudice is probably a strong word. It's probably a bit over the top. But there is this sense of kind of, you know, it's a job for people who aren't very intelligent. So I think it would be a crying shame, you know, if the next Vidal Sassoon's parents told them that, you know, no, don't do that job, you can't earn any money. Because that's the reality, you know. The next greatest hairdresser might be put off by their parents. And I just think that is a crying shame. So what have we got here? True James, I invested in my beauty business and became certified in spray tanning, everything brows, lashes, teeth whitening, HA pen and more, in addition to my cosmetology license in 26 years. Yes, exactly, Shelby. You know, that's a great example of, you know, the avenues that you can go down. You know, it's absolutely limitless in terms of where you can take everything. Paul Watts has joined us. Hello, Paul. Haven't spoke to Paul since last week. He's been a busy boy doing his lives and hairdressing digital events. But Paul, commercial is the overall winner from last week's poll. There was only one creative, which was from Claire, I think. And so I think we need to do a commercial collaboration, but I'll call you tomorrow, Paul, and we can chat more about that. And yes, so different tones all over colour. Perfect. Thank you, Angela. So in a nutshell, if we're going to do something like that, if you're going to put different tones as an all over colour, what I always recommend that you do is you either put a root shadow on it first, so that you have got a base colour that is concurrent and will run smoothly, so that you don't get that kind of harsh blocky look that you might have got, say, back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So put a little root stretch on, or a root shadow, and then go in and just take horizontal sections, big weaves, very chunky weaves of hair. Let me just demonstrate. Let's get ahead and show you what I mean. I haven't actually got a shag haircut to show you, but right then. This isn't a shag, but if we popped a root stretch on the roots and then took fairly, large sections through the hair, and then kind of weaved those sections, so we had a very chunky weave. Let me just do a little demo of that so you guys can see what I'm saying. I do this technique all the time, by the way. I not just on shag haircuts, but just on my clients that have kind of normal tint, normal tints. And I might only do like a colour that's a couple of shades different, but it's just to add a bit of spice into their life. So you can see there's 2 weaves here, and then in my hand here there's 3 sections. So we can see that oh, you can't see that because this hair's fallen over the top. Let's do that again. You can see that here there's 3 sections, and underneath there's 2 sections, and it's about 1 inch in depth roughly. You could alternate 4 colours even. You could do the root colour as 1 colour, or do one same root colour all over, stretch it down a little bit, and then do alternating colours in each section. And that will look knockout on a shag. So I hope that helps you there. Right then, lots of things have come through. Let me just check. Okay, good. Yeah, we're up to speed. Everyone's saying hello to Paul. Very nice of you. Thank you, guys. Carter John, can you use 40 volume H2O2 with any tint, or should it be specific products? You can use 40 volume with any tint, Carter. One thing to always be mindful of, obviously the stronger the tint that you use, when you mix peroxide, because the tint is alkaline and the power is in the tube, and you mix it with a more powerful bleach, more powerful peroxide, you make a more powerful simple bleach. Because when you mix an alkaline agent with an acid agent, e.g. hydrogen peroxide, you create a form of bleach. Simple bleach, it's called. And what that simple bleach does is, when you apply it to the hair, it lightens the natural undertone of the hair, and then it replaces it with the colour that's in the tube. So the tube of colour that you're using will then be the new colour that you can see. So it's really, really important that we're kind of very aware that when we use higher volumes, we will get a more powerful simple bleach. And what that simple bleach will do, obviously it will expose more undertone, but that simple bleach is also powerful enough to damage the tonal value of our new colour. So the colour that you've mixed with it in the tube. So it's really, really important, if you're going to use 40 volume to get 4 levels of lift, that you remember that you will probably not get the tonal results that you were expecting from the colour that you chose. Hopefully that helps. Right then, I think that stigma is beginning to change for the better. We are seeing more talent, more creativity come through because of social media. Yep, I totally agree with you there, 100%. I think social media has had a big impact, but I still think that at the end of the day, there's more work to be done, and that, you know, the more we talk about our industry from a commercial standpoint, from a financial standpoint, the more that young people will be able to say to their parents, or not even say to the parents, even if their parents are not stopping them, look at the career as something, somewhere to go, a career to take on. 1, be creative. 2, make some money. And 3, live a nice lifestyle. So I agree completely, but I still think we need to work on that a little bit. Carter John, do you have any ideas on how to colour short hair using a comb-on type of technique? Well, that's a very good question. Do you mean picking up the sections and like painting on like very, very short hair, like a shoe shining type technique, Carter? Just let me know exactly how you mean with that. Is it to create texture in men's hair, for instance? Because I can give you some advice on that. Sarah says, the hair and beauty industry have changed a lot. Hope the views of people will change about hairdressers. I think, you know, like previously from Mesh was saying that, you know, it is changing. Social media has done a lot. And I don't know if anybody's seen the video that I posted yesterday, a sort of off-the-cuff video for me, really, about you know, free information. Basically, it's all about free information, the video, and is it damaging? Will it damage our businesses? You know, should it be around? Will people not come back after they've learned to do their own hair in the last year of being locked up? And you know, I think at the end of the day they will come back, because you know, a great analogy that someone actually put in the comment section in that video, and I'm going to steal that from them for a second, so thank you for that comment. But they said, I think it was Lessa Matthews actually, so I'll quote her on this one. She said that lots of people can clean their own home, they just choose to pay somebody else to do it. And I think that's the same with hair. Lots of people could probably colour their hair, but it's quite difficult, and if it goes wrong, they don't know what to do. And they might be just sort of bumbling along in lockdown. But when this lockdown eases, I mean, I've heard so many people saying, oh, well, you know, all the clients are going to disappear, they'll be doing their own hair at home. I just don't believe it. I just don't think they will. I think that a lot of people, you know, they may be doing it because they're financially strapped at the moment. They may be doing, but as soon as they've got the money, as soon as everything starts to going back to normal, they will come back. And of course, in the meantime, there'll be other people who just don't want to take the job on. So you'll have room for new clients for a little bit. I think that's a great thing. Let's see where we're at. I would love to see a video from any... Shelby, I would love to see a colour video for your colour technique, but also your curl technique. Your mannequins you show at the end result have such beautiful styles. Thank you very much, Shelby. Over on More The Life of Hair, which is, I think it's called The Life of Hair Reviews now. I think it's called The Life of Hair Reviews now. I had The Life of Hair Reviews, and then I did More The Life of Hair, and then I changed my mind, and then I called it The Life of Hair Review. So I think it's called The Life of Hair Review. Anyway, I've neglected that channel a little bit this week, actually, but I did do a video towards the end of last week where I did some styling on there with a new tool that I've got, and any styling and those kind of things will be done on that video. In fact, I've just made a styling video on that channel with the GHD Max. So it's not out yet, but it will be out soon. So the Life of Hair Review, I'll be doing more styling stuff over there because I'm talking about products and using products. So I felt it fitted better into the Life of Hair Review. Hopefully that will you'll be able to check that out at some stage. Carter John, message, oh no, hold on, oh right. More combing on the colour from the roots to the ends, similar to a highlight without using weaving using foils. Okay, good, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I guess, in the nutshell, that you're not going to get tons of lift because it's very hard to saturate the hair enough and get it close enough to the roots. So if you're talking like a sort of, if you imagine it a bit like a balayage, you know, to get a good lift out of a balayage, you would obviously need to saturate the hair well. But if the hair is short, even if it was, you know, my length short, which is probably 7 inches or so in length, if it was that kind of length, you know, then obviously, you know, you could comb it on, but then it would lay on this hair down below. So it's probably going to have to be of a length where it can pretty much stand up on its own within reason to be able to comb on and not get it into a place where you don't want it. But a good piece of advice is if you spray hairspray onto the hair before you start, so the hair's got a bit of a grip, and you spray it so the hair's standing up a little bit. Use a pintail comb and a cutting comb. Pintail comb to section the hair, cutting comb into the bleach. Spread it around with a brush, and then just brush up from the roots towards the ends. And I wouldn't recommend you did it on anyone's hair that was darker than a level 7 unless you wanted to get a warm result. If their hair was 7, 5, 4, anything like that, you're not going to get the sort of lift because you can't get the saturation that you need to kind of stop the product drying out in time. So hopefully that helps you, my friend. Right then, Tina Gray. Yes, it was food for thought. Doing it yourself doesn't give you that luxury of sitting in the chair being pampered. Absolutely not, Tina. That's right. And of course, you know, that's why people really come. You know, the hair is great. It's a byproduct of the experience. And remember, the world has changed and experience now is king. And getting your hair done is just a byproduct of the job. Millennials and Generation X are wanting to spend their money on the experience of having their hair done rather than the outcome generally. They want the outcome to be of a certain standard because they have expectations like everybody does. But at the end of the day, you know, those two generations are your next lot of new clients coming into your chair. Millennials are now pushing their late 30s, mid to late 30s, and you are seeing those as your new clients with money to spend on their hair. So it's really, really important that we obviously remember that, you know, what they're looking for. They're not buying houses because they can't afford to, you know, so they've got quite a lot of, you know, surplus income. So they're willing to spend a lot of money on their hair and themselves. You know, they'll buy Yeezys and, you know, Louis Vuitton and all that kind of thing. You know, you see it all over social media, you know, and it's all about putting what they've bought on social media now. So whether it's buying holidays and showing off on social media that they've gone on holiday to, you know, wherever, or it's, you know, that brand new pair of Balenciaga trainers that they've just bought for £800. That's what millennials want. That's what Generation X want from a hairdressing experience. So those guys might be just, you know, filling the gaps in, watching YouTube videos, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, they can't, if they do a good job, you know, and their hair looks all right, it's not that glamorous blow dryer that they can then put on social media. So remember that. That's another thing that I didn't want that video to go on and on, but I mean, there were so many points I could make. I sort of just condensed it down and really just reflected other industries that give away information for free, and it's really not a problem. You're still not going to get your... I wouldn't replace my brake pads, even though there's 100 videos on how to replace my brake pads on YouTube, and I probably wouldn't even attempt to cook Michelle Rood Jr.'s souffle, because I just probably wouldn't do it justice. I've got, you know, I can cook my dinner every day, but I don't have the culinary skills for a twice-baked souffle. So that was probably why I wanted to reflect other industries rather than kind of ham on about different generations. But no, it's good stuff. Thank you, Tina. Jane, you are doing, you're going to be so very busy. Yes, I am already so very busy, Jane. It's It's unbelievable. But, you know, I love it. I love providing content for you guys. I love the fact that people are enjoying it. And, you know, I've always had a huge passion for education and sharing. And I've always said that I'm not an inventor of anything. I don't feel like I've ever invented anything. I've just simply taken other people's you know, stuff and picked up things along the way and tried to deliver it from a different angle. And you know, it feels like people kind of resonate with the angle that I create out of things that have already been done. You know, and I learned a long time ago that that was okay. I had the pleasure of spending a few days with Sam Via 2.5 years ago now. We were at the same event teaching for Redkin, and I just started my YouTube channel. I hadn't had it all that very long, and he was kind enough to sit down and interview with me. But besides that, I just spent a lot of time with him. It was like 2.5 days I spent with him. And, you know, he said to me that, you know, what he'd done was deliver what he'd seen from somebody else in a new way. And actually the validation that that gave me, that was okay to, you know, repackage and redeliver information that's probably seemingly very difficult in a lot of ways. Because that's one thing that I've always felt is that, you know, that with hair education, especially where, you know, when you watch people online, they sort of overcomplicate things. That, you know, they make they put steps in that I just think, well, have you done that just for the, you know, for the sake of showing off, or have you done that just for the sake of it? What's that step in aid of? And so it's, for me, it's about dissecting other people's stuff, boiling it down, simplifying it, and then repackaging it and delivering it in a different way. And hopefully that's resonated with you guys. And so, you know, being very busy doing that is like my dream come true. Christos has asked, 1, do you have barber skills such as shaving? No, I have never done, well, I have done wet shaving. I was a barber initially, actually, Christos. My very first entrance into this industry was through barbering, and I was taught to barber and wet shave, but I never did it very much, and so no. But I have a great friend who is a fantastic barber and wet shave expert, and he has a YouTube channel. He doesn't really talk about it from the standpoint of doing it, and I did a little video of his. He does mainly SMAR, MSA, I can't remember now, however you say that. SMRA, which I've become addicted to, by the way. It's Elliot Forbes' fault. If you're watching this, Elliot, then I blame you, my friend. I've become addicted to listening to people scratching wind muffs on microphones and things and just falling asleep to it. But I've also become addicted to watching barbers work with no voiceover, just the sound of a barber shop. It's amazing what you discover in lockdown. And so yeah, Elliot Forbes, and I would love to get Elliot on the channel at some point, actually very soon, introduce you to him, and maybe we could talk him into doing a live demonstration of a wet shave. Obviously not right now because we're in lockdown, but soon when we're all back to reality. And what is your relation with Hull City? Oh, I don't have a relation with Hull City. I've been there, teaching there for Lee Stafford Education. I've got a vlog about it on the channel in the very early days. I have never been to Hull apart from that one time. I'm from the Midlands, so if you don't know England very well, if you came down England 50% of the way and cut a line through it, I'm from pretty much bang in the centre of the country. In fact, Paul's from the Midlands too. He's a bit further south than me. But yes, I've got no affinity with Hull apart from the time that I went there to retrain their college lecturers to become Lee Stafford educators. In fact, Paul Watts may have been to that particular college as well to do some training with those guys. More than likely, I'm not 100% sure on that. So why did you think that, Christos? I'd love to know. Right then, Mosama. Okay, I have a client with curly medium length hair. she needs full head highlights with root colour as well as a 75% grey root. What technique should you suggest for me to do on the colour service? Well, what I would do with a client like that, Ms. Hammer, is I would put your highlights in with a very low volume peroxide, so it gives you plenty of time. And then I would go in with your root colour, tap on the roots, cover the 70% grey, and then I would colour your mid-lengths and ends at the same time. You could even start with 6 volume or 1.8% at the back, if you're starting very low down in the back, and then kind of when you get further forward you could move into 10 volume territory, so that you could consistently lighten and leave it on long enough to be able to apply a root tint and let that root tint and full head colour process. That's how I would approach it. I know some stylists, friends of mine, that would approach it in the sense that they would go in, colour the hair, darken the root colour down, darken the mid-lengths down, and go back in and put the highlights in. I worked with a colleague of mine who did that. That would be the only way he would do it. It's extremely time consuming that way. Not my favoured way to do it. So yeah, just a little tip for you there. But hopefully that fills that in for you. Hippopotobus. Do you use a whisk or a spatula? Which scales do I use? I always use a whisk. Whisks are my preferred method of mixing. I use a plastic whisk or a rubberized metal whisk to mix my colour with. And what scales do I use? Well, I generally buy my scales off Amazon. If you send me a DM on any platform you like, Facebook, Instagram, any which way you like, I will send you the link to the scales that I generally purchase for measuring out my colour. Because I like scales that go down to 0.1 of a gram. So very, very accurate scales for colour mixing purposes. Oh no, Felicia, I've skipped your question. I'm ever so sorry. I've just seen that ping up. Do apologise. It was not deliberate. What do you think about pre-wash colour? Don't know if this is the right term. What's the right formula in your opinion? Thanks. Pre-wash colour. Do you mean blonde wash? Are you talking about taking someone's hair a few shades lighter at the back wash, or are you talking about washing the hair prior to darkening it to potentially move any impurities from the hair? Let me know, Felicia, and I promise I'll try and avoid skipping your question again. That was not deliberate. I'm sorry. Right then, who have we got here? Okay, Carter John. How to cut fine hair. Framing around the face that is choppy and in pieces that do not destroy the bulk of the fine hair, which can become very wispy very quickly. That is a great question, and actually it's a bit of one of those questions, Carter John, that actually there's no secret to it. There's no golden key, you know. If someone's got very, very fine hair, I tend to slide cut or slice out the weight from the front as not to layer it and remove too much of the hair. But by the very nature of that seamless technique, you tend to then get a very fluid shape around the front that doesn't have it much separation to it. So then what I tend to do then, let's get some scissors and maybe this will make more sense. What I tend to do then, if that's the case and they want more texture, well, just snipped her hair by accident. And she's got a little short bit here now. She's got what I'm about to describe to you. I would come in and cut the hair away and remove that hair, and then I'd come in just below it and I'd cut, like using the heel of the shank of the scissor, just a diagonal line, my scissors pointing downwards, remove that hair with my comb, come in again, use the shank of my scissor, come in, remove that hair. If you could see that, I don't know if I did that in front of the microphone. Do that again, just in case you couldn't see. So I'd come in, cut with the shank of my scissor diagonally down the hair just to remove a bit of hair, and then comb that hair away, do it again. Not to create steps, but to create definite pieces without it being too fluid. How their hair then sits after that, well, that's really down to that individual's hair texture and type. So it's very difficult to say exactly how that's going to sit, but you know, that's giving you the best hope for achieving something like that. Jamie is asking, a client comes in and complained about haircut, not even. Left side longer than the right. A hairdresser said to the client, it's normal. Is it correct? Good question, Jamie. I mean, it's probably not normal unless it's meant to be like that. So if it was asymmetric, where, you know, it was obviously shorter, so, you know, you've got hair that's cheek length on one side and shoulder length on the other, or, you know, some obvious amount of asymmetry, then I would probably say then yes, it was normal. But if, for instance, that's not the case and it was meant to be even, then no, that's not normal, Jamie, and that hairdresser is unfortunately doing that client a disservice by telling them that. So I don't know what context you are talking about specifically, Jamie. If you want to shed any more light on it, I'd be happy to answer that question further. Carter John, do you have a rule of thumb for adding colour concentrates to permanent colour, e.g. colour concentrates red to red tint to increase the warmth and brightness of a colour? Yes, I do, Carter. I absolutely do. So I always start with 1/8 of my mixing ratio. So for instance, if I was going to have 40 grams of tint in my bowl, I would have 35 grams of the tint and 5 grams of my intensifier, whether it be red, green, blue, orange, it wouldn't matter. That would be my benchmark point to work out whether that was the right amount. So for instance, when you say to yourself, okay, we've got a tint, for instance, that is adding green into it, which can be a dangerous thing to do at times, obviously, because it can make the hair dingy and dark and murky. I would always maybe err on the side of caution. But if I was going to add red into my colour, I might probably go straight in with 1/4 of my mixing ratio. So 10 grams to 30 grams of colour, because if it was a bit too red, it's probably not going to last that long. So I hope that makes sense. 1/8 is the benchmark for me, or rule of thumb, as you called it. Christos, because I did my MCSC in business management over there a very long time ago, I still have beautiful memories of that place. Ah, I see. Yes, I really liked it. I hung out there on my own every night for a week, and I really enjoyed wandering around that city. And I'd never been before, and actually it was my birthday at that point in time as well, and my mum and dad hadn't seen me on my birthday for probably a decade, and they drove from where they live, which is probably about an hour's drive away, to Hull, and we had my birthday there, which was the last birthday. This isn't to make anyone feel sad. It was the last time I ever spent my birthday with my dad, because unfortunately he passed away in February 2020, which was good timing, to be honest. If you're going to die at any time, February 2020 was the time to do it, because my dad had an unbelievable amount of friends and acquaintances who owned multiple businesses, and he had about 200 people at his funeral, and if he'd have died a month later, you know, it would have been limited to 6. And so yes, Hull actually does hold a bit of a weird kind of special place in my heart now, because of that specific time that we spent there. So yes, it sort of does have a nice feel to it now. Right then, so let's... oh yeah, you've skipped my question. Yeah, we've done that one. The Curious Hairstylist. Hello, The Curious Hairstylist. How are you? Sarah, if I want to change the colour of virgin black hair without pre-bleaching into burgundy, what method should I do? Tint. Just tint it lighter. You would probably want to use one peroxide strength less on the roots than you would on the rest of the hair. So that first centimetre would probably want to be, for instance, let's say 10 volume, and then the rest of it 20 volume, or 20 volume and then 30 volume. But if you're going to lift it up to burgundy, which is a level 5 by nature, you're looking for a full 4 levels of lift. You're looking for 30 volume at the roots, and you're looking for 40 volume on the ends. Remember what we said about 40 volume, it will probably damage some of the tint, but because you're looking for burgundy and the undertone at a level 5 is red, you can let that 40 volume do its work. So I would do 30 volume on the roots with your target shade. So let's say you were going to go in with 5 RB, or you were going to go in with 5 RVB, violet blue type of colour. You basically need a red, blue, brown, violet shade, depending on the intensity of what you're trying to achieve, basically. The reason I can't pinpoint it exactly. But yeah, the best way to go about it is 40 volume on the roots, and the best way to go about it is 30 volume on the roots and 40 volume on everything else that is cold, the cold zone, if you will, on the head, and then just process it for normal manufacturer's time, and you will have the result that you're looking for. So I hope that helps you on that one. The other thing to remember, guys, as well, because the power is in the tube, the power is the colour is always the alkaline part of it. If you're looking to guarantee 4 levels of lift and undertone isn't an issue, you can always go 1 shade lighter than your target shade with the same tone. So for instance, you could use a 6 with a RB or RVB or whatever shade you're looking for, and that would then go maybe 4.5 levels of lift with 40 volume. Sometimes you have to sort of over process it for maybe 3 to 5 minutes longer than the manufacturer recommends, but you can do that. I do that sometimes just to sort of manipulate the product to work in a way that I want it without needing to use bleach. So it's hugely time saving in that way. So hopefully that gives you a good idea. Right then, Felicia, yes, from the blondes especially. Right, let's go back to Felicia's question. It's gone out of my head now. Where's Felicia's question? Ah, there it is. What do you think about pre-wash colour? Good. Yeah, so I call it blonde washing, but pre-washing or bleach bath or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, what do I think about them? I use them all the time. I never mix bleach with water on its own, because remember that water is 7 pH. And peroxides are usually much lower than that, 3-ish on the pH scale. And obviously if you're going to mix a bleach powder, which is around anywhere between 10 and 12 on the alkaline scale, if you mix it with water, it's going to be way more alkaline than it's meant to be, and that's why the hair will feel really rough if anyone's ever done that with bleach and water combination. So I always use just a peroxide, cleansing shampoo, or a Sunday shampoo, or a astringent shampoo, and powder. Mix them together in 30 grams, 30 grams and 30 gram ratio. So 30 grams of peroxide, usually 10 volume, by the way, just so you know. 30 grams of the shampoo and 30 grams of powder is my base, benchmark mixing ratio. If there's a lot of hair, I'll double that or triple it. And then that's the way that I go around blonde washing. It removes toners very quickly. It takes, 2 or 3 levels off people's hair actually quite quickly. I mean, I only ever go for 1 to 2 levels of lift maximum with a blonde wash. But it's a really fast and effective way of removing unwanted tone in the hair. Okay, let's find out where we are. on this thread. Paul says, great questions tonight. Yes, really good questions. Loving it. Jane Preston, blue black hair. What would be your chosen level to lift to, then tone back to blue black, if that makes sense? Yep, that makes perfect sense. I would be dubious to. It depends how blue black we're talking about. If you want it to really see it in the light, and it's definitely blue black, then what you would need to do is lighten the hair. Say you wouldn't even necessarily kind of need to bleach it if the hair was virgin hair. You could use a violet on a level 5. You know, take the hair to the most vibrant violet that you can get your hands on, and then go in with your blue-black shade straight over the top. The other thing that you could do if you needed to bleach it would be bleach it up, turn it purple, very, very bright purple, and then go in with your blue-black over the top, because you don't want to put it on red, because it will just turn it into violet blue black. So you need it to sit on purple, which is if we're looking at the colour wheel that I refer to all the time, that is that shade before blue, and it's a really good place to sit blue onto is purple. So that's what I would go with. Hope that answers that for you. It's pronounced Lisa. I've called you Lessa for so many years to my phone. I think you've probably been commenting, I don't know, maybe it feels like a year or so, not for so many years, but when I dictate into my phone and I say Lessa, it comes out perfectly. So I always thought it was Lessa, but it's Lisa. Thank you very much. And I think it was you that commented that fantastic comment on the video I posted yesterday. If I'm not wrong. So thank you for that great comment. It was really much appreciated. You know, some of the comments that we get on videos, or some of the comments that I say we a lot, I don't know who the other person is. My other personality, my alter ego, the person that works for me while I'm asleep. Yeah, I don't know why I say we all the time. It's just me. Maybe it's when I talk to myself. I don't know. But no, I'm only joking. I only talk to myself sometimes. Yes, thank you for your great comments. There was some fantastic comments yesterday. That video was actually motivated by lots of things that I'd seen on Instagram, and actually a comment that somebody had left on the Ella Bangs video from Sunday. And I just really wanted to kind of clear the air. I had some email correspondence with the person who left the disgruntled comment on YouTube, and you know, I will talk to anybody who's not happy and kind of try and you know, give them my point of view. I've phoned many follower, subscriber, whatever, not subscriber, who have not been happy with something that I've done for whatever reason, because you know, you're not going to make everyone happy all the time, but I'm very open to the idea of just talking about it. You know, just, you know, don't have to be angry about it or annoyed. You know, you can just chat to me about it, and maybe we can clear the air that way. So yeah, I had some email correspondence, but I really wanted to kind of make that video. I'm going to share onto Facebook tomorrow, actually, to try and help kind of lower the tension in some hairdressers' minds that it's going to be all right. You know, we're just going to recover, like, you know, out the back at the other end of it. People are still want their hair done. You've skipped my question. Hold on a minute. Keep skipping questions. There's a lot of questions tonight, guys, so it's tricky to keep an eye on it. Well, and I think I'm talking a lot as well. Let's go back. Let's find your question. Oh, I can see you there when you say hi, James. Hi, Paul. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. I don't actually have your question, Sanj. Could you please repost it for me? That would be fantastic, and I promise I will answer it. Okay, so where have we got to? Trying to avoid skipping people's questions. It's pronounced Lisa. Good job. Zahar. Hi, James. Hi, Zahar. Gabsy. Rather than increasing the peroxide volume for the ends, can't you just keep a 20 volume and increase? Yes, that is another way actually. You're absolutely right. So there is another way to do what I was describing. You can go one shade lighter, one shade brighter on the ends and use exactly the same peroxide. So on the roots, you could say, for instance, use 40 volume, because you're going to need to go from level 2 up to level 5, or level 3 up to level 5. Have I got that right? No, I haven't got that right, have I? 2 up to 5. Brain's gone dead. No, 30 volume. 40, oh, I don't know. Anyway, listen, it's late. I'm going mad. Right, level 2 up to level 5, 40 volume. Yes, so you'd use 40 volume on the root area. You would use your target shade of level 5 with your target tone of Burgundy, whatever Burgundy brand you use. And then on the ends, the other way of doing it is you can use the same level of peroxide, 40 volume, one shade lighter, so a 6, one shade brighter, so you'd be going in with a bright red or a brighter red tone on a level 6 with that brown violet background. That's the other way of doing it. Thanks for that, Gabsy. Lisa Perry, what would you suggest for getting black hair box dye light enough to turn silver? A lot of luck and a lot of time. I would never recommend in a million years that you would get it there healthily, and that let's really emphasize the healthy aspect of this. You wouldn't get it there healthily in less than a year, and that's just the facts. And they would need to be Olaplexing their hair and using, or any bonding service, and using the take home part of a bonding service, because remember, the bonds in a bonding service deteriorate over time unless they are being replenished with the take home element of a bonder. So you have to make sure that they are using that in between visits, and that will mean that the hair is in the integrity or a similar integrity as to when you left it, and therefore you can go lighter again without fear of the hair breaking down. And you still need to be careful. It's not a silver bullet, no chance, but it is definitely a better way of doing things. Can you get there quickly? I mean, you know, some people, think you can by doing this and that, and you see it on Instagram and stuff like that. But the hair is, you're pushing the boundaries of destroying the integrity of the hair. And so, you know, I've taken many people from black to blonde in recent years, and you know, the first thing that I do is I get them in for a blonde wash, and I blonde wash their hair and just take the black off it as much as I can. Try and have a sort of level 4 brown result at the end of it all. Then I'll say, right, go away, treat your hair. I also like Redken Cat Spray. Paul will probably recommend something in the Joico range that we talked about last week, if anyone wants to go and watch that, in terms of protein recovery treatments, the 4-step I think he was saying, from Joico. And there's many more out there. There's K-Pack as well from Joico. There is Elasticizer from not John Frieda, Elasticizer from whoever. But there's loads of great, you know, protein products out there that you can use. And then I'd probably get them back in, and I'd probably attempt to try and make it just a level 6 the next time. Maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, then try and maybe go in with some highlights once it's a level 6. And then another set of highlights 6 weeks later. And then what we're looking at there, 2 months plus 2.5 months, 4.5 months, 6 months in, and I'd probably expect them to be a level 8/9 highlight form. And then I would probably encourage them to try and take a little break and treat their hair for a bit longer, give them an 8 to 10 week window. If they're not up for that, then obviously if the condition will take it, then I'd go back in again. But I would always overemphasize the amount of time it's going to take. I'd say, well, it's best part of a year, and if you get it done in 9 months, they're going to be thrilled. But if you say to them it's going to be 9 months and it takes a year, they're going to be annoyed. So always, you know, kind of over promise. What's the word? I've got mad tonight, haven't I? Under promise to overachieve. There we go. I think it's making all these podcasts all day. I've just been talking all day. I had to have a lemon, ginger and honey before I came on to here to talk anymore. My voice was starting to dry up. John, thank you for answering my questions. I'll PM you on Instagram. Yes, no worries, Jamie. Thank you very much, sir. What is the difference in high lift tint on basics rather than using bleach? High lift, as you say, brings out the warmth. Even if you choose an ash tone in... well, the main difference is obviously, if we think about what bleach is, it's a corrosive product. It corrodes the natural pigment down small enough that it can no longer refract light, and therefore we are seeing the if we think of it like a gobstopper, really good way of thinking, you know, the big suite of gobstopper, and the outside of it, we're going to imagine the outside of it's brown like my hair colour, and then the next colour underneath is like a reddy violet, because that's, you know, if you ever saw that next step it would be that colour, and then it would be red, and then it'd be like reddy brown kind of orangey colour, and then we'd have orange, and then we'd have like orangey yellowy kind of, you know, level 8/9 colour, and then we'd have yellow, and it's just a process of corrosion to get to that point. And so for me it is a case of looking at, you know, the process. So why would bleaching hair be better? Well, because it's more corrosive, so therefore it would strip back the hair much further, leaving you with less undertone and therefore less warmth. But for instance, if your undertone that you were combating and the high lift tint that you were using, I use a lot of high lift tints in the salon, if the undertone was strong, the tone that you were using to combat the undertone from the high lift tint was strong enough to cover it up, then it will work. You will get neutral results. But we've got to remember where you're bringing the hair from. Say a level 6, for instance, which primarily is a sort of red-orange shade. You are always going to be battling. You are going to need green to kind of help subdue the sheer amount of warmth. So I would be looking for like a blue-violet high lift. I'd be looking for a blue-green high lift tint to get that to do its thing well, in terms of getting a neutral result out of a high lift tint on a level 6 going blonde. Because quite often they stop at blue, and that's usually not powerful enough to combat the level of warmth that you will experience. Hopefully that makes it clear for you. Right then, Zahar, right. Is it possible to do clear patch hair? Is it possible to do clear patch hair? How many sessions will take? How many sessions will it take? Clear patch hair. I'm not sure what that is, Zahar. If you'd like to enlighten me a bit further, I'll try my best to answer that one. Squirrel Elephant. A toner I want to use instructs to be used on towel dry hair. Should I use it on damp hair or dry? Always follow the manufacturer's guidelines. That's my advice there. Always follow the manufacturer's guidelines. If it says it's on damp hair, it's meant to be applied to hair that is around pH 5.6 to 7, because that is the pH of water. Not all water is 7. Most water is 7. So it's designed to go on that scale. Whereas if it says it's meant to be applied on dry hair, it's meant to be applied on hair that is 4.5 to 5.5. So always follow the manufacturer's guidelines. Okay, we've got the question now. Looking for blending scissors and texturizing scissors. Fine teeth to remove and blend when doing short haircuts. Chunky teeth to remove weight and texture. Any recommendations? Something in the mid-range? Well, yeah, I mean, probably a good mid-range. Where, I guess, Paul, what brand is it that you use? Just drop it in the comments section, because the brand that Paul uses, and he also got a discount code, which you can also put in the comment section down below, where you will get 10 or 15% off, I think. Paul uses a brand that has some pretty good mid-range scissors, and I'm sure they'll have some fine. I have used them. I can't remember the name of them now. They've gone out of my head. The other ones are Passion and Joelle. They're a good mid-range scissor that have some texturizing and blending shears in their ranges. But the brand that Paul uses, it's gone clean out my head. He's like an ambassador for them or whatever. But actually, they are very good scissors. I have used them in the past. Paul uses them all the time and loves them. He uses their more expensive ranges, but they do have a good offering in terms of range of scissors. So yeah, Paul, please, if you're still with us, drop that in the comments section and drop your discount code in there as well, my friend. That would be great. Hi everybody. Finally, I catch a live stream. Superb. So, James, you are absolutely addicting and also full of knowledge. Just so much appreciation for your videos. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Philip Kingsley Elasticizer. Thank you very much, Angela. Perfect. Right then, where have we got here? Just thrilled I got you. Perfect. Thank you very much. Lisa Martha, your kindness, mildness, and your simplicity draws people to you. Thank you. Don't change. No, I'll just the way I am. It's just the way I am. Michelle, right then, what have we got here? Hi, can I use a Weller Illumina 9/60 with a dilution of 1:3 with 10 volume for my roots after bleaching, or do you suggest something different? Incredibly difficult to answer that for you right now on here, because I can't see what it's going on to. But I'd be more than happy to help you if you want to send me a picture in natural daylight on Instagram or Facebook Messenger, so I can see what you're dealing with, and I will do my best to help you. Don't worry about that. Thank you for your question. Kate Asterix. I'm assuming Paul's not with us now, so he hasn't answered. Let me just message him. 2 seconds. This will be the quickest way to get an answer, because I'm sure he's gone to do something else, obviously. How dare he leave us? No, I'm joking. Here he is. Hi Paul, I've got a question for you, mate. What is the scissor brand you use, and what is your discount code? Hopefully I'll get back to us in the next few minutes, because I'm going to wrap this up in a minute with this last couple of questions that are on the screen at the moment. So if you've got any questions after this point, then hold fire, leave them in the comment section on this video, and I'll answer them afterwards. Where are we at? Okay, Hippopotamus. Where are we at? Kate. Hi, could you give an example of using 30 volume when using permanent hair colour, please? Well, the only example of using 30 volume with permanent hair colour is if you wanted 3 levels of lift. 3 levels of lift. If you didn't want 3 levels of lift, never use 30 volume. It's the only time you would want to use 30 volume. There's no other reason to use it. Paul's got back to us. So he said, just editing a video. Sorry, mate. Your apologies more than welcome, Paul, if you're watching this back at some point. He uses Mataki, which is spelt MATAKKI.com. and his discount code is WATTS5, WATTS 5. So yeah, go and have a look. They'll definitely have something in that mid-range price bracket and in those type of shears that you're looking for. I call them shears now, and I'm English. What's going on with me? I spent a lot of time talking to my American audience who call them shears, and now I've got into the habit of calling them shears. But I kind of like it. I kind of think it sounds snazzier than scissors, because scissors I have in my kitchen, you know, and I use scissors to, like, you know, cut open food bags and whatever. But shears is like, well, I don't do anything else with shears apart from cut hair. So I've kind of got used to that. I don't know why, I kind of like it now. I'm going to call them shears from now on. So yes, good stuff. Hippopotamus, is there a difference in using e.g. half 0.901 and half 902, or just using a tube of 10.1 to tone bleach to natural blonde? Good question. Well, besides the obvious that the half 9.1 and half 9.01 and the half 9.02 is a shade darker than a level 10. One thing that you will find is that because the 0 is a neutral, not only will it be darker, it will have less of the cooling qualities of the 10.12, because the 10.12 is pure blue then violet, whereas the other two are naturals then the secondary tone. So that is something to very much bear in mind when you're kind of thinking about that. And the other thing is the 10.12 would be preferable if you've lifted it to a level 10. If you haven't got it to a level 10, then you'll have to use the 9.01 and the 9.02. Hopefully that helps. Where are we here? Okay, you're going to send me some photos. That's great. Christos, thank you very much. In the case of a client who has come from another salon, how easy do you identify another her hair colour formulation? Very good question. I always start that with, do you like the colour it is now? And if they don't like the colour it is now and they say they would like their previous colour, I implicate that you have a very open conversation about the brand discrepancies potentially if you're using a different brand, and then hopefully come to conclusion that you can choose a new colour that is very similar and they're happy with to what they had previously, or recommend something new. That's what I would do. I would say to them, well, I think you should have X, Y, and Z because it will do this for your complexion, your eye colour, and your overall well-being. But yeah, that's where I would take it. If you're using the same brand of colour, the first thing you need to do is identify the level. I don't have a levelling chart with me here. I usually do. Kind of moved this room around a bit today, but I've lost it. You know, where it runs from 2 through to 10. Find the closest level, and because the level will then always kind of give you an indication of tone. So if you found it's a level 6 by, you know, putting something that's a level 6 next to it, or if you can identify that it's a level 6 by eye, then drill down into the tone. If you're seeing warmth in there and it's on a level 6, then it's predominantly going to be kind of a goldy warmth. There's only a little hue of warmth. It's going to be goldy warmth, isn't it? If it's warmer than gold, it's going to be a copper warmth that you're seeing. And if it's more than copper, it's going to be red. If you're looking at it and it's kind of slightly flatter and cooler, then you're going to need like a 6.1 or a 6 ash tone that you know is stronger than your naturals. So hopefully that would help you identify. But finding the level that the hair is currently on, if they're wanting to match what they've currently got, is the first step to identifying what kind of tone you're looking to match it to. Hopefully that helps you, Christos. Carter John, the highlight tint you described, do you mean the high lift tint? Do you mean using 10.1 and 40 volume, adding green concentrate to get a natural effect? Do you mean? Just trying to think back to what I said, Carter. It feels like a long time ago I said that. I know it wasn't, but I feel like it is. Just trying to cast my back. So what I mean by that, yeah, I mean you could use a tint like that. That's 10.1 is usually a tint, and you'll probably only get 4 levels of lift or so out of a tint. Maybe you'll get 4.5 if using a lighter tint colour. But yes, adding green concentrate into a high lift, into a tint would get you there, or having a high lift tint that was. So in like Redkin, for instance, they've actually discontinued it now, but we used to have high lift tints. They don't have a level. They lift up to 5 levels. We had green, blue, we had double blue, and I would just combine what I needed for the appropriate job. So if I had very dark hair that had a lot of red in it, I would just use the green alone. Now we've got our strongest tone is titanium, which is actually a blue-violet titanium, but it's really powerful, really strong. And we have got a double ash still, double blue tone. So there's no level with a true high lift. It's not 10 point something. But then if you're in Weller or somewhere like that, then the 11 and 12 shades are high lifts in some ranges. So that's slightly confusing, I appreciate, because realistically there is nothing lighter than a 10. Everything beyond that is an illusion of tone and light. So, because the reason for that is that the colour in the cortex, the melanin in the cortex, you can't lift it. If you lift it, you'll just frazzle the hair. So you'll always see that yellow, pale yellow tone come through. So that is something to remember. Let's see where we're at then. It makes me lol how you say my name. I love it. I'm going to say it like that now. I say it like I sound it out. It's from being dyslexic. Sean C, good evening from Nottingham. Hello, Sean. It's wonderful to hear from you, my friend. Evening, James and everyone. Guessing I forgot to set a reminder for this live. No worries, Claire. Thank you for joining us anyway. Sean C, James... no one taught me about hot roots when I was a stylist. What does that mean? How do you prevent it? I like the shears rather than scissors. UK man too. Yes, I know you're a UK man, Sean. You actually reside from the town that I grew up in for a short period of my life when I was young. Or very close by, actually, Nottinghamshire. So good stuff. Hot roots are when the root area looks brighter, lighter and warmer than the rest of the hair. It's usually caused by using the same tint on the roots as you wanted to achieve on the ends. The main difference was that 1 centimetre off the scalp, the body heat is averagely 36.6 degrees, and the hair here is a little bit more susceptible to lifting. And that heat and that susceptibility means that what you tend to do is lift the hair either 1 to half a shade lighter than you were expecting, and you expose undertone accordingly, and the roots look like they're going to glow a little bit. And they look like they are sort of on fire, hence why they're called hot roots. But it's a very common problem, and the ways to combat that is if you either use my favourite way to do it is use a lower percentage peroxide on that first inch/centimetre, and then a higher level of peroxide, say 10 volume and then into 20 volume to combat that. Or, as I mentioned earlier and somebody pointed out, the alternative to that is to use one shade. So if you wanted let's say a 6 red colour on the overall effect, the root area you'd use 6R, and then through the ends you would use the same peroxide but you'd use 7R one shade lighter. You'd probably use 7CR. The rules of thumb are one shade lighter, one shade brighter. Hopefully that helps. You talked about high lift tint being warm. You talked about Carter. Thank you so much for your response. Carter, you talked about high lift tint being warm. Lost my train of thought with that, Carter. Do apologise, my friend. Frida, how's it going? Christos, you're very welcome. Too late to wake up. Thanks. Frida, it's like 3 a.m. for 4 a.m. for Frida to join in, everybody, if anybody's wondering what that means. Where she lives. I can't remember where Frida lives. Drop it in the comments, Frida, where do you live? I can't remember. It's gone out of my mind. But I know it's the middle of the night for you to participate in this live. You are the most dedicated individual I know. So, let me see what we've got. Angela, hi. Can I watch it again? Because I love your knowledge and hair colour. Yes, Angela, you can watch this again. All the lives that we do on a Wednesday night will be on the channel for 2 weeks. And the reason for that is because of YouTube's wonderful algorithm and the way that the algorithms work. When these episodes are 100 minutes long or 80 minutes long or whatever, and people only watch them for 3 or 4 minutes at a time, it actually doesn't do the channel analytics any good. I know that's really frustrating. I will hold these videos on a Wednesday as much as humanly possible. I need to look into it actually a little bit deeper, because actually I said that last week and then I've learned some new stuff this week and I'm not sure what the right information is. So whether it's a negative impacting on the channel leaving the lives on, or it's okay to leave the lives on. I have actually left the last 3 on the channel. That's including this one. I will leave this one on the channel. Let me look into that. But yes, you can watch it afterwards. When you go onto, to find the lives, for anybody that's interested and you're not really sure, when you go onto my channel, The Life of Hair, and you're on my home page, which is where it's got the little Life of Hair logo, and then it says The Life of Hair, and then it says how many subscribers, and we're nearly at 50,000, guys. I cannot believe it. Just remembered, I've just seen that. I cannot believe I'm nearly at 50,000. I just blown away. I'll do a video especially for my 50,000, or I'll do an insert in a video especially to celebrate 50,000 subscribers. Yeah, unbelievable. Never ever. Didn't even think I'd get to 10,000. Never even thought that was a thing. So when you're on the channel, underneath where it says my logo and then The Life of Hair, and then it says videos, playlists, all the lives are within the playlists. So you'll be able to see them based on the fact that it says the view number, then it says streamed, and then how long ago it was. So that's the best way to identify. So 6 days ago I did one with my good friend Paul Watts, as everybody got to know him at that point, or already knew of him anyway because of his channel. So check him out. He's a great hairdresser if you haven't seen him. And so yeah, in a nutshell, the easiest way to find them is they are within videos on the channel, because I've had that. The reason I digressed into that a little bit is because I've had that question quite a few times already. How do I find the previous lives? So good stuff, everybody. Let's see if there's any final questions come through that I can answer. Let me see. Right, where are we at? Thank you very much for your kind... Oh, you're very welcome, John. Mozama, I would like to learn scissor over comb technique. Please give me some tips on how to scissor over comb. I find it a bit tricky. Mozama, I'm actually going to make a scissor over comb video. I've just kind of been meaning to do it for a little while. I think I'll ping it out midweek next week for you guys. Bit of scissor over comb. There's just one fantastic tip / trick to improve your scissor over comb. So yeah, good stuff. Thank you very much. Big achievement to integrate. Thank you very much. Yes, overwhelming actually, if I'm perfectly frank. Sean C. Colour always terrified. Tell him. I could do neat foils and tint application, but the knowledge of colour theory was never explained in great detail. Your knowledge is so good. Thank you, James. You're very welcome, Sean. I just, you know, the whole point of the Life of Hair and the whole point of this journey up and doing all the teaching that I do is to help hairdressers be more confident and earn more money, basically. So if I can do that, and Lisa Martha wrote a fantastic comment today over on the video that I posted from yesterday, saying that, you know, the videos had helped her refine her confidence and get her back onto the shop floor after the lockdown. And yeah, no, that's in a nutshell is the whole point of the channel. I know free information can be perceived as damaging in some aspects, but in other ways, you know, it helps people maybe reignite something that they'd lost, that they don't necessarily want to invest in, can't afford to invest in, but if there is that you know, information out there for people to get involved with, then you know, for me it sends shivers all over me to think about it. So thank you very much, guys, for joining in tonight. I am going to go away and do some more editing myself. It's a relentless journey, but it's a journey that I have got so much energy for and enthusiasm, and I just can't wait to see where we go together. So thank you very much for your ongoing support, all of you who comment, like, subscribe, have subscribed right at the beginning. Some of you subscribed right in the early days. It's really, really fantastic to have you on board and a part of the Life of Hair community. And you know, someone actually sent me a message on Instagram the other day of another educator, and thought that I was going to be, I was offended that they'd sent me their video, and I don't know why that was the case. I just said I haven't got time to watch it right now. Thank you very much. I'll watch it later. And so if you're watching this right now, the person who sent me that video, it wasn't meant like that at all. And I think we should all watch all the YouTube channels, as much information as we can digest as humanly possible, because it's all valuable. It's all, if you can just take one tiny thing from everything that you watch. And I always get a bit annoyed by these YouTubers that are very, and hairdressing educators especially, that are very protective over their audiences and their, you know, kind of giveaways, if you will, the stuff that they share with people. I always think that, you know, that is the wrong attitude. I know you're trying to pay the bills with it, but it is the wrong attitude. You know, we've all got something to give, and we all deliver it differently. No matter if it was the same thing by two different hairdressers side by side, we'd all have something different to say about it. So I'm never really sure about that ideology. But and that's why I wanted to kind of bring on Paul last week and other hairdressers that I've reached out to that, you know, don't want to collaborate. I just don't really understand it. But anyway, thank you guys. It's really, really appreciated. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you again on Sunday for another episode, as always. And then again at some point in the midweek, maybe Tuesday, probably, for a little scissor over comb video as requested, because it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. Any more questions before I go? Just double check. Lots of thanks. You are very... Oh, there we go. James, can you use peroxide clear for pre-pigging hair? Thanks and congrats. Can you use peroxide clear for pre-pigmenting hair? Peroxide clear. Not sure what peroxide clear is. If we're talking about pre-pigging in terms of adding in the missing tone before darkening, then you will always need the tone mixed in with the peroxide. So for instance, if you were going to darken someone's hair from a 10 to a level 7, you would need gold, copper, or copper, dependent on the end result. Peroxide clear. The only other thing I could think of there, Josie, is that potentially you mean putting peroxide onto the hair before covering grey, which some people do to get better grey coverage. But I always believe in the idea behind better grey coverage is more alkalinity, and that means you need to put more tint in the tube from the tube. So up the mixing ratio. If it's a 1-to-1 mixing ratio, put a little squirt extra of tint from the tube into your normal mixing ratio. That will push the colour to a slightly more alkaline place, and therefore you'll get better grey coverage because the product is stronger and it's got more tone. So hopefully that will answer that question before I sign off. Let's just see. Pre-soften, that's what it's called. Pre-soften with tint. Yeah, I'm not a fan of pre-softening with peroxide. Thank you, Sean. I tend to pre-soften. I don't tend to pre-soften. I tend to go in with more tint than peroxide. Good. Okay, that seems to have answered the questions. Just make sure I'm just checking, double checking. Wonderful stuff. Great. That seems like all the questions. Thank you very much, guys. See you again on Sunday. Don't forget to throw a like on this video just before you go, so it will push it out to everybody else that watches The Life of Hair, and hopefully they'll enjoy the content too. And I will see you on Sunday. Not live, unfortunately. I do love chatting to you, but I'll see you again next Wednesday, 9 PM GMT, for another Q&A. So bring your questions along. Anything you like, just bring it to the table. Thanks a lot, guys.